Layered Curriculum in the Classroom by Sue Harmon-King. What is a layered curriculum? The layered curriculum is a method of differentiating instruction for different types of learners based on the work of Dr. Kathy Nunley. Why should we use layered instruction or curriculum? We should use layered instruction or curriculum because everyone's brain functions differently and therefore students have different learning styles. In a single class, as an instructor, you might need to teach students with a variety of needs. For example, students who are reading below grade level, students for whom English is a second language, students who are high-level learners and may become bored by a traditional lesson plan, as well as students with other cognitive and behavioral issues. The layered curriculum or layered assignment provides for a wide variety of learning styles. It gives students a choice in how they learn, therefore promoting accountability for their own learning through the choices they make. It also builds upon student knowledge or schema as they move through the layers to ultimately create an authentic learning experience. Layered instruction or curriculum is a lot like a layer cake. There are 3 levels or layers to this type of learning experience. Layer C, the base layer, Layer B, the middle layer, which I like to think of as the yummy frosting in between 2 layers of a layer cake, and Layer A. I like to think of this as the icing on the top of the cake. They also relate to Bloom's taxonomy. Layer C relates to remember and understand, if we're looking at Bloom's, Layer B to apply and analyze, and Layer A to evaluate and create a new product. Let's look at Layer C. Layer C is the first level of learning in the layered curriculum. It serves to activate tacit knowledge or schema. This layer not only provides background knowledge but drives a student's curiosity through their perception of competence. It's designed to offer a variety of learning choices to build background knowledge and a general overview of the subject or unit of study. Layer C is the most basic competency that every student must complete. As a side note, student competence and confidence go hand in hand with student interest and curiosity. As stated by Arnone in 2011, the student must feel competent in his ability to use what he knows to engage with the information which has aroused his curiosity. Perception of competence is a prerequisite for sense-making, which leads to sustained interest and the desire to explore until curiosity is satisfied. If we're looking at Bloom's taxonomy, Layer C relates to remember and understand. Remembering involves retrieving information from memory. Learning at this level builds a foundation for the remaining levels of cognition. It involves learning facts, knowledge of major ideas, and memorizing. It also relates to Bloom's layer of understanding. Cognitive processes in this layer include interpreting, illustrating, classifying, and comparing. Examples of Layer C assignments or tasks include vocabulary that's relevant to the unit, reading the unit chapter, viewing a video on the subject, completing a know, want to know, learn chart before and after reading or viewing, creating a timeline, a poem, poster, or chart representing the unit or portion of the unit. Let's take a look at Layer B. Layer B is like that yummy middle section of our layer cake. Layer B takes the information that students have learned in Layer C and builds upon it to strengthen their depth of knowledge. Students apply what they have learned in Layer C to Layer B. In looking at Layer B, it can be related to apply and analyze sections of Bloom's taxonomy. Students using a process with which they are familiar, such as creating a skit or a play, take their new knowledge and apply that to the learning process. If again we look at Bloom's taxonomy, the apply layer, This level consists of two cognitive processes. The first is executing, which is when the task is an exercise that's familiar to the learner, such as writing a skit or a reader's theater. The second is implementation, which occurs when the learner is unfamiliar with the problem. That's when they're taking their new information and placing it into this assignment or task. And analyzing. This level involves breaking material into its constituent parts and determining how the parts are related to each other and to an overall structure. This level includes debating, organizing, and attributing. Some examples of Layer B assignments include skits, plays, and readers' theaters. Students might also construct a diorama or a model. Other ideas include completing a web search or doing a comparison contrast via artwork or a creative writing assignment such as a diary or a work of biographical fiction. Students might write a letter describing a place or event to a family member. They might create a chart or a table, or analyze two sides of an issue in an essay. Layer A is the final layer. It's that yummy frosting that pulls our cake all together. It requires critical thinking and analyzing skills, as well as personal opinion to produce a product or outcome that's new and personalized. Layer A can be related to the evaluate and create sections of Bloom's taxonomy. Much like the icing on the cake, it ties the previous layers together to take a plain old cake to a wedding cake or a birthday cake level. If we look again at Bloom's taxonomy, Layer A relates to evaluate and create. Under evaluate, in this level, students must make judgments based on criteria and standards. This phase includes monitoring, testing, judging, pointing out consistencies, and utilizing critical thinking. And create. This final level requires students to put together elements to form a coherent or functional whole. Students produce a product by implementing three parts. They understand the task and generate solutions. The student devises a workable plan, and then the student carries out a plan. Some examples of Layer A activities include writing a new Bill of Rights addressing relevant issues of today, discussing how the lives of Indian people impact us, create a New Deal style poster reflecting a current social issue, or analyzing a series of photo essays and interpret using knowledge of the time period. Let's take a look at a sample New Deal lesson plan for 5th grade social studies on the New Deal and the Great Depression. Students will be given a background of the socio-economic factors leading up to the Wall Street crash of 1929, which marked the start of the Great Depression. Students will then use primary sources to investigate the Great Depression and Roosevelt's New Deal as an economic stimulus. As a final project, they will investigate the WPA, Works Progress Administration, and select, analyze, and interpret several New Deal photo essays and present their analysis and interpretation to the class as a whole. Layer C. In this layer, students must do number 1 plus 2 other tasks. Number 1 is read the section in the social studies text and complete the end of chapter quiz. Some of the other tasks they may choose from are creating a crossword puzzle with 10 of the 15 vocabulary words, or they may view 2 of the following videos and take at least 10 notes on each, and create a know, want to know, learn chart before and after reading their text. Once they've completed Layer C, the student will move on to Layer B. In this layer, the student and a partner will work together using available web resources to complete the WebQuest worksheet and chart. And here's a sample of the New Deal worksheet. They'll need to define the following terms and explain their importance using the links on the previous page: the Great Depression, Brain Trust, New Deal, Fireside Chat, relief programs, recovery programs, and reform programs. Then they'll need to complete the New Deal chart. In the far left column is the New Deal program listed. They'll need to determine the purpose of the program, the people affected by the program, whether it was a program of relief, recovery, or reform, and then 3 interesting facts that they learned about each program. Layer A is the final assignment. And the student's assignment is to view several photographic essays and answer the questions that follow as best they can. With each essay, they should describe it as upbeat, emotionally neutral, or troubling, depressing. Then they will list their observations. Observations are things that you can actually see in the photographs. List things that you see that you think are important to the mood of the photo essay. Finally, draw your own inferences or conclusions. Inferences or conclusions are things you might not actually see in the photos, but what you might assume about the subjects of the photo essay. These could be a mood, their economic condition, their emotions, the weather, or anything else that strikes your interest. Inferences are your interpretations of the photo essay. And here's a list of photographic resources the students may use, and a sample of the photo worksheet. They'll need to list the essay, they'll need to circle what kind of mood that photo essay invokes, their observations or what they can actually see in the photograph, and then finally their inferences or what they might feel or interpret from the photograph. And finally, to wrap it all up, the students will create a 2-minute presentation using PowerPoint or a Prezi to discuss 3 of the 6 photographic essays that they have completed, including observations and interpretations of each essay to the class. The following are the AASL standards that are addressed. Make sense of information gathered from diverse sources by identifying misconceptions, main and supporting ideas, conflicting information, and a point of view or bias. Demonstrate the mastery of technology tools for accessing information and pursuing inquiry. Collaborate with others to broaden and deepen understanding. Demonstrate creativity by using multiple resources and formats. Respect copyright and intellectual property rights of creators and producers. And follow ethical and legal guidelines in gathering and using information. Students will also use strategies to draw conclusions from information and apply knowledge to curricular areas, real-world situations, and further investigations. They will collaborate with others to exchange ideas, develop new understandings, make decisions, and solve problems. They will use the writing process, media and visual literacy, and technology skills to create products that express new understandings. They'll connect the understandings to the real world. They'll participate and collaborate as members of a social and intellectual network of learners. Use writing and speaking skills to communicate new understandings effectively. They'll also use knowledge and information skills and dispositions to engage in public conversation and debate around issues of common concern. They'll create products that apply to authentic real-world contexts, contribute to the exchange of ideas within and beyond the learning community, and use creative and artistic formats to express personal learning. The grade level expectations that are addressed include tools of social science inquiry, select, investigate, and present a topic using primary and secondary resources such as oral interviews, artifacts, journals, documents, photos, and letters, economic concepts and principles, interpret the past, explain the present, and predict future consequences of economic decisions. Relationships of individuals and groups to institutions and traditions. Identify how ideas, concepts, traditions have changed over time in the United States. Tools of social science inquiry. Use maps, graphs, statistical data, charts, and diagrams to draw conclusions and make predictions. And use technologic tools for research and presentation. And finally, our bibliography. I hope you've enjoyed my presentation on using layered curriculum in the classroom.